Do you need testimonials to succeed online? I think it's a very common question that we get from people that we speak to who are moving from offline into online, or even just they're new to coaching and they want to start on the right foot and move into online coaching. And they're like, but I see other coaches that have got loads of before and after photos and I've not got any of them. So what do I do?
It's a misconception, to be honest, because it's a fairly level playing field at this point. Like, it used to be the case, I guess, go back to when we first started online coaching, testimonials were a bit rare for online stuff. You'd have like a supplement brand would have some testimonials, but not many other brands would. But now that there's like a lot of online options, and especially things like Herbalife or a lot of these newer like teas and powders and like the quick fix, essentially, they all have before and afters, and they all have great before and afters. Like, whatever you think of Joe Wicks as a coach and his like 90-day plan, which is broadly speaking a PDF, or at least one version of it is, he has hundreds of testimonials and before and afters. So like, if it was just a case of who's got the most testimonials, there'd be no room for anybody to ever get new clients. But people in our community get new clients every day with 0 testimonials. So they're not the point is, they're not the thing that convinces someone to purchase. They can help, sure. Like, they might get someone who's on the fence off the fence. But I think there has to be an implicit assumption that what you do as a coach works, and you have to communicate that in ways that is not just, look at this person who lost weight. There has to be another narrative and another sales conversation going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with before and afters as a thing as well. I mean, the 5 main things I can think of, like, one of them is, if you are Herbalife, you've got millions of people using your program, using your stuff.
Yeah.
So if 1% of them lose weight while consuming Herbalife can then claim that picture and be like, look, it was the Herbalife that did it. It definitely wasn't the consistent exercise and calorie deficit that they had, which Herbalife played a very small part in. But they've got so many people that they can cherry pick and get the good ones. You also don't know if drugs are involved. There's nothing in a before and after, unless it's gratuitous, that you can definitely say, they were using steroids, or you can't guarantee the timeline. Even if you hold up a newspaper, you can fake that as well. Like, but no, I mean, no one really holds up newspapers anymore and before and afters. Many people, we've definitely seen the practice of coaches that claim a 12-week transformation, but it actually took a year.
Yep.
Yep. the old trick. Or it could just be completely fake. It might not even be your client at all. So,
well, and there's like filters, ways to doctor photos that you can like download on your phone. It used to be the case that you needed Photoshop or photo editing skills, but now there's like apps you can put photos through and it filters it to make it look way better than it is.
That'll just like change the shape of your face and make your eyes a bit bigger, and you look more lean. And it's completely. So slowly the market will become more and more aware of before and afters being less valuable, recognizing, as you say, that there's app modifications, there's ways to change that. It also is a snapshot. It doesn't necessarily show the mindset someone was in. There's definitely, I mean, we've got before and afters ourselves where we've gone from like fat to lean, and I guarantee both of us were in a pretty minging headspace in the lean photo.
Yeah,
we didn't feel as good as we looked.
I think oh yeah, I thought I'd lost that point. So I think part of the reason why before and after photos used to work, so let's say like 2011, I think the problem in 2011 was people like us, who were like arguably some of the experts in the community, were believing that like insulin was the problem, carb timing was a solution, supplements were the solution, and we were buying into these programs. And so the before and after was like evidence that it worked, right? Like, look how lean somebody got with that thing. That's the answer. I think really now, for most people, there's not an information lack. Like, there's a ton of information available, and a lot of different solutions will work for them. So like, you could cut out carbs if you want to. You could cut out fat if you want to, ish. You could do fasting 2 days a week. You could eat every day. You know, there's not really a right or wrong way as long as the basic principles are adhered to. So, if anything, all a testimonial is showing is like, look, this person was able to eat a calorie deficit for 8 weeks while I worked with them. It doesn't really validate anything other than really the minimum, which is that you're able to help someone lose weight, which I think is people should assume. If they're considering working with you, they should be assuming that. If not, there's a far bigger trust issue going on with your marketing that can't be solved by 2 photos on the internet. So I think that's why they've kind of, that the abundance of them and the sort of shift in what the problem is for the industry means that having a photo like that doesn't really do anything these days.
They've kind of lost their potency. The other thing is, like, and this is a much wider problem, if you're moving online, don't just go for generic fat loss coaching. Like, you are up against the behemoths of the industry. You will have no chance of getting heard, and it's not specific enough to be able to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
So I spoke to someone this morning who works with people around emotional eating, binge eating, relationship with food, that kind of thing. And she has people ask, like, oh, do you do kind of 6-week transformation? She was like, well, no, not really, because you see the photos and you don't see what's going on in their heads. You don't see their menstrual cycle that's been disrupted. You don't see the mindset and the food obsession and all these things. And so she's moving away from that and focusing on, like, what's going on inside and what's the sustainable thought patterns that you can develop. And a before and after photo not only doesn't show that, but may even be masking a decline in someone's relationship with food and mental health.
And if you are going to go after like broad fat loss, like we've got just someone who jumps to mind in our program who's doing fat loss, but for like guys really into gaming, which sounds so like such a weird niche, right? But if you think about that, they have a problem, like, which is I'm trying to lose weight and what I'm doing, or I'm trying to build muscle and what I'm doing isn't working. And a lot of other shared things that those guys maybe don't feel like they fit into the standard fitness stuff. So he's building a community and a world for them. So how hard is it to stand out in that world versus fat loss on the internet? Like, it's infinitely easier. Like, it's one tiny change, but it's still, I mean, niche is a separate thing which we can get into. But the point is, like, imagine being anyone in any niche and thinking, I'm going to pick that coach because that before and after photo just looks so good. Because people look at it and think, yeah, but it will be different for me because kids, work, stuff that hasn't worked in the past, my metabolism's slow, I can't tolerate dairy, like whatever people believe to be true, that's what they care about. And that you can't tell that about a progress photo.
Well, the truth is it would be different for you because that person, we don't know what their plan was, what the size of their deficit was. Like, really, as a coach, you're just the sat nav. You can't really take credit for someone's results. So even if someone makes amazing results, like, at best you sent them some PDFs and some programming and, got them to stick to a program, but it was them that did the work. So you're right. Someone looks at it and it's like, well, will that apply to you? Big question mark.
Yeah. I think what would be more convincing, like, imagine it's like using, I guess, our philosophies. Like, someone's listening to us and they hear it and they think, well, these guys are teaching me a way to still make progress while drinking alcohol and spending half the time in the gym that I was previously. That sounds really enticing, and I kind of trust them and I get on with the way that they present things. How much is the program? Versus, here's a photo of someone who in the past lost weight over an undefined period of time with loads of parameters that we don't know. How much is the program? Like, it just doesn't, that's not, these days anyway, that's not why people buy. Like, it requires, like, what is it? Why is it different? Why should I listen to you? What do I get? How does it work? What if I don't like it? What if it doesn't work? All those sorts of things.
I should say as well, if you're working with people who are looking for to drop a dress size or to get lean for their holiday or anything like that, so I'm talking about like the beginners and the kind of novice market, then this can be part of your sales process. This is part of your objection handling, is to communicate that what they will see on before and after photos are not it's not the full picture.
Yeah.
As you've said there, like that was, they lost fat at a certain point in time. You don't know, what are they looking like now? Like, have they regained all the weight? Maybe, is
Yeah.
it fake? Is it even their client? Does it show their mental health decline? Like, do we know what deficit they did? Any of that stuff. So you can actually use it as a chance to throw rocks at your enemies and say, hey, you might think that you want to drop a dress size or that you want to lose a stone or whatever. But if we dig deeper, we'll see that actually there's a lot of underlying things that you really want, and that's actually what you're seeking. So it's a great platform to communicate with your clients and connect with people that way.
I think linked to that as well, it's hard to define like what a client actually wants in the sense of like what is success for a client. So someone has the goal of, I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club because I watched that film when I was younger, and I've always had that as a goal. But actually, between now and this arbitrary goal in the future, they reach a body weight and a nutrition plan and a training setup where they're just like, man, I just love this. I don't want to get any leaner. This is great. Is that before and after? That before and after photo might not actually be that impressive, but the person might be over the moon with the result. So how do you communicate that to somebody? You can't. Someone might look at a before and after photo and look at the before and after photo of the coach who's happy to encourage their clients to take cough medicine that might involve some suspect ingredients and get results that are way more extreme, and think, oh well, they're better. Like it's going down a road that you can't really win. So if you post average before and after photos, but the clients are really happy, you can't see that. If you post amazing before and after photos that are so good, people will assume they're fake or assume they're drug enhanced. So you can't really win. It's better to just market and sell in a slightly different way and communicate how you can help someone rather than relying on a photograph.
It's funny because if we look at the medical world, so where everyone's very evidence-based, scientifically minded, there's no or that there's much less influence of emotionally driven decision making. What is the lowest quality form of evidence on the evidence hierarchy? It's a case study. Like, this one patient took this drug and this happened to them. It's completely dismissed in clinical circles.
Right.
What's the highest form of evidence? Like a randomized controlled trial, double blind, with a large number of people. And that's showing that the drug as a system works en masse and produces net benefit with few side effects, rather than like my mate Darren has been smoking for 45 years and he's lived to 90 and he's okay. Like, that's a one-off thing and it doesn't really tell us much. So this is why we very much recommend, and you'll see we do it in ourselves, both in fitness and in business, of making sure that your system is the thing which generates the results, and then verifying and showing that anyone can go through the system, and if the inputs are correct, it can produce reliable outputs, rather than picking one particular output and trying to claim credit for it.
It's why for our Propane business testimonials, we try and get so if someone says like, guys, I've had a great result, I'd love to give you a review, we try and just get them to talk about it in a video, because it's so easy to write a testimonial which is like, made 20 grand, this whatever, like you don't know what, like that month might be the worst month of their life. Like and a lot of the times it is, right? Like if the coach was running ads to a cold opt-in form and I was just getting automated WhatsApps through and I had to message everyone and go through a 10-step DM script and then get on cold calls with them, and I closed 10% of them and I barely slept, but I made 20 grand. It's like, well, can you do that again? Like, you're going to do that for 5 years? Whereas if someone's
20
like,
grand gross as well.
yeah, gross. This is how I found the program. This is what it was like working with the guys. These are the results I got. Like, that's what you care about, really, is how does it feel to to be in the process and work towards the outcome, rather than an isolated piece of information. Because as in both sides, right, you need the full picture. Because if the goal is lose weight at all costs, just eat nothing, right? That's a pretty horrendous way to approach it. But like, you take it to its extreme. It's what we've spoken about in previous podcasts. If you just focus on the number the whole time, that's the only thing you're paying attention to, or this like one outcome, without paying attention to the rest of it, it can very easily become distracting and misleading. So
then how do we reconcile that? Because we're not saying don't use before and after photos. We're just saying, like, recognize the limitations in them. On the other hand, when you start to get client results, what's the best way to use that in your marketing?
use them to overcome specific objections. So, number one, have a conversion system. So, we teach a 14-day challenge. You can choose to believe that or not. But let's say you have a 14-day challenge and people go through that and they're like 90% there. But consistently people get to that point and they're like, I'm going on holiday in a week. I want to start in a month. Let's say you had a testimonial from someone who was going on a holiday anyway and started, and it was seamless. The whole process was seamless, and they still enjoyed the holiday and they still got results and all that sort of stuff. Great way to use a specific piece of client information, because it's someone like them who's been through the process, who had that problem, who found the solution to be effective, or someone who couldn't train in a gym, or had busy work life, or had busy family life, or whatever. I had this problem too. Here's me talking about it for a couple of minutes. Here's what it was like. That's far more valuable than just like, oh, here's a before and after photo, because we're numb to them at this point. Like, what does that mean? It means nothing. Like, but what about my busy family life? So that's how I would suggest doing it. Like, use it strategically to help people make a decision rather than just blast fat loss pictures.
Nice. And then if you show the result, it's within a context of like, this is Denzel. He was a lawyer. He was working busy shifts and had a long commute, and this was the result he achieved while his schedule looked like this.
Yeah.
Very good.
So just to loop it back to the beginning, why have you got to be the chicken?
Be the chicken.
You'd forgotten.
Not the egg. Because when you're starting online, you don't have testimonial photos. You're like, well, how do I start? And if you think that you need testimonial photos to start online, then it's chicken and egg, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the solution, be the chicken.
Be the chicken. Like, the chicken's not sat there going like, fuck, a chicken and egg problem. Just produces eggs. And it doesn't have to worry about the rest. So so yeah, just get clients through means that work without testimonials, like a 14-day challenge. You'll get clients, you'll work with them, you'll get results. Use those strategically, but they're not the thing that will... You can have testimonials and have no clients, trust me. So, or have before and after pictures from past clients and still not generate any new ones, I should say.
If you're thinking, what do you mean 14-day challenge? Well, have a look at the link in the description of this podcast. Johnny has a full video overview of how to create the conversion system that we're talking about, that you can drop people into the top end of it and it produces clients reliably, simply because it's front-loaded all of your best content in a sequence that achieves a specific objective and gets people ready for your group coaching program.
And if you're thinking, I've watched that before, guys, it was really good, and I'm sort of considering working with you, but I've just got a few questions, and you want to jump to the front of the queue, being the VIP queue, jump with the wristband and come in the posh area at the back, drop us an email with the subject line Propane Business Podcast, and we'll send you a special call booking link.
The bouncer will come and sort of put you under his arm and be like, don't worry, come here.
Come this way. Come around here.